Hi, my name's Dale Little, the Rescue America Ministries. Here in Cesnadilla, Romania, a cool day today. It's been barely stayed in the 50s last night, so it's been cool the last couple of the days here in July. Want to look right quick. I have to do this as quickly as I can. Don't have much time for a lot of commentary. Just to throw some things out. We have a president who made a campaign slogan out of "Make America Great Again." That immediately began to raise some questions. Well, when was America ever great? We had a former attorney general that asked that question, and a lot of other people said, when was America ever great? And a lot of that comes from the left. Basically, all of it does. From women's rights groups, from civil rights groups in some respects. And nothing wrong with civil rights, nothing wrong with women's rights. But when you begin to push other issues and try to make things and say things are worse than what they really are, that is an issue. So we have in our Constitution, it says, part of the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, the question, when was America ever great? It is a good question. And the reason it's a good question because it gives me a chance to answer it. And right here's one of them. Now, people even target this and say, well, slavery that wasn't for everyone. Yes, it was. The problem was that people tried to get around this document and say that, well, yeah, all men are created equal, but blacks aren't really human. And so they got around that, and that kind of made slavery okay. We see the same thing happening today, and the left are using the same tactics and trying to excuse themselves for their own racism a lot of times. And I'm not targeting everybody. I need to explain, I really want to, that I have many black friends, and I'm not against black people. Skin color, I don't know, it doesn't matter to me. I don't know why it does to so many people. But we want to identify ourselves and segregate ourselves, that way. I just don't understand it. and so I'm talking about these ideas that are put out there by so many blacks and so many women's rights groups and things like that. I'm not saying everybody fits into that. So let me go on. What happens is that the women take issue with that and say, well, what about, when women didn't have the right to vote? Well, when this document was written, no other country on earth except one, as far as my research has been able to tell, was one country, the Corsican Republic, which is now, I think it's part of France, allowed women the right to vote. So how were we any different from any of the rest of the world? How does it not make us a great nation and that's a relative term, relative to the rest of the world, compared to other countries. When you look around, I don't see how anybody can doubt that this country has been a great country, and it is, and can be again even greater. It depends on us, not on one or two isolated incidents. The other thing that's brought up is the idea of slavery. Well, let's look at what's going on today. Slavery ended in 1865 in this country. Was that not a great day when the slaves were set free and given their freedom? Yes, it was bad. It was evil. It was wicked, slavery. But when almost 500,000, I think it was, Union soldiers gave their lives to bring freedom to the slaves, that wasn't a great day. What did I read a while ago? 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 and 4, ungrateful, unholy, unthankful, slanderous, disobedient. But yeah, that's the day we live in. People do something great and you just, or something good and just sweep it under the rug and say, well, yeah, but what about now? What about this? You did this for me yesterday, what you going to do today? Type of thing. And that mentality is universal all over the world, not just in America. But let's look at things. At that time, slavery was pretty much an accepted thing in much of the world. There was more slavery going on than just the Atlantic slave trade, and had been for a long time. And people look at it and want to condemn the white Europeans today. And so one of the things that was brought up in one of the recent elections was that they talked about, Democrats talked about the Republican Party being the party of old white males. Well, I looked in the mirror this morning, that's what I saw. I'm 72 years old now. So what's the problem? Is there something wrong that I'm an old person, 72 years old? That make me evil in some way? That make me less than you in some way? So what about the white skin? So I'm an old white male. Is there something wrong with that? Are you racist? If you find a problem, that is a racist statement to say that Republican Party is made up of old white males. That indicates that there's something wrong with old people. There's something wrong with males, men. There's something wrong with white people. That's pretty racist. So don't talk to me about racism if you hold that attitude. And you want to talk about, well, let's go on. I don't have time for all that. Let's look at what's going on now. Today, you want to talk about what white people did 100 and 200 years ago, whatever? Let's look and see what's going on today and see if America's great or not. Maybe you want to compare to places in Africa where slavery is still going on. Places like Chad, Congo, Ethiopia, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Madagascar, Mali, Niger, Sudan, Mauritania. Mauritania, they say, is still holding up to 500,000 or more slaves. And these are real slaves. These are not just servants and things like that. These are slaves, forced servitude. What about places like the Congo and the Central Africa Republic, where the Bantu tribes and others are still cannibalizing the pygmies there? That's right, cannibalism's still going on. So you want to talk about how evil the wicked white man is, and these are things I hoped I'd never have to bring up. And I don't do it to make people look down on black people and others and make them seem more evil than anybody else. I'm just saying you need to quit trying to put on me and on my people, so to speak, even though when I say my people, I'm talking about white people right now, but really I include everybody. I've worked with a group of blacks in Winston-Salem, near where I live, for years. And to me, they were just like family and still are, except I don't see them anymore. But, that's just, the color of skin is just not a big issue to me. But I'm saying that in that let's quit targeting people like me as being the scum of this world today, that somehow the morally inferior people because of, we had slaves. Well, check into this. Check into the UN reports that have been made in recent years and to what they've found out that's going on in some of these places. The excuse of the Bantu and others cannibalizing the pygmies. Can you guess what excuse they used for cannibalizing them? Same one that Americans used to enslave blacks here in America. They say that the pygmies are only half human. And so they can be a half animal, then they're okay for a meal, for eating. Horrible situation. So when was America great again? Maybe when we don't practice things like this, maybe today. When was America ever great? When we ended slavery. many times, and they said, "What about when we helped liberate Europe?" And people talk about the United States being an empire builder and things like that. When we came into and liberated Europe in World War II and helped do that, not saying they didn't do anything, a lot of brave men fought there, but we never made them part of our empire. Matter of fact, we gave them money to rebuild. We never charged them anything. When we freed the islands in the Pacific from the Japanese, overtaking those areas, then we didn't charge anything. Matter of fact, when we defeated Japan, we helped them rebuild their country. We didn't make them part. Japan's not part of America. It could have been. We conquered them, we defeated them, and so don't give me this nonsense about empire building and America's evil in that way, because we've never done that. What we've done is help liberate people and help bring freedom. So that's, when was America ever great? I want to tell you, if America's not great, if you're all think it's as bad as it is, then all these people down here at the border and along Mexico, you should be down there pleading with them not coming to this country because of how bad it is. How dare you invite them in to a country where they're going to be worse off than where they are now. You should be down there warning them, don't come into this place. This is a horrible place. That's the story you're getting out, isn't it? Dale Little, Rescue America Ministries.